Elysium Blaze here. They're doing swell. And Battle Gnome is behind a significant amount of camps as well. So far, Elysium Blaze, all lights are green. They're doing great. Jolly, how's the view?
It's good. This is a cool desktop background that I see.
Wait, what is this layout for?
Hey, okay, wait. I think I got it back.
You can see me again.
I think
Hello.
I do. I see you again. I've got it back. And last time, all right. So last time you were removed, it crashed. So we're just gonna get to see you, and you get to fill in the stats
right.
for me.
I'll promise not to be a massive distraction in the background. I swear.
That's all good.
As Luca takes that away right away.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably for the best.
Oh, that's too scary of a proposition right there. Knack doing a good job against OP Kill Switch here. Did we miss? Okay, so I see that the Hextech ultimatum is down. So one ultimate has been proc there, and it looks like it resulted in that. That is what resulted in the death there of Control Alt Delete, if I'm not mistaken, right, Crims?
That is correct. Completely was under turret. Used that to pick up the final hit onto Control Alt Elite, although completely unnecessary if you ask me. Nick Lowell's just playing it safe, as now the Camille has a decent lead on the top side, and we know that she is excellent at killing tanks here.
Yep.
Okay, a bit of a trade, just a briefcase for your troubles. And now, as we see, look at this, a cheeky little dragon steal from Battle Gnome.
And that is something that is necessary here for BDE. That was going to be my next question if I wasn't able to see the screen anytime soon, was about those objectives. Control Delete now able to do a bunch up until a little while. Oh my gosh, Knack is unable to go anywhere. Popped, stunned, popped again, and locked down. But BDE was able to take the dragon.
Yeah, Knack taking a bit of vacation in the bouncy house. Wasn't too fun there. As did have the flash, but would have been completely wasted. 4 knockups in a row, and you cannot use tenacity to get out of that one. So that was a nice combo, but it was a bit rough on the eyes.
Ooh, speaking of nice combos, that might have been a good one here coming out of BDE.
And
Bean Chillin has taken so much. There's the flash. JL able to use the rocket jump to get over. The pings are coming through. BDE wanting to circle around, but Zeri is still on the chase. In the meantime, up in the top lane, we have Control Alt Delete still doing a lot of damage to trees. Should be able to hit these. JL, do they have the minions? They do not. Wow. That means Idris is going to be able to throw out a few Qs and pick up another kill. 3-0 and 0 right now, Crims.
Yeah, JL went for the dive, and this is exactly why you have the cleanse on the Tristana. You know you're going to get exhausted, so uses that to finish off Bean Chilling. But that's not a great trade. 8 carry for support as well. Idris picks up the kills. Now, Battle Gnome very active in getting these objectives. Went from Dragon straight to a Rift Herald, but now they're going to have to fight for this one. This one's not free.
Nope, in comes the Elastic Slingshot to pop up onto Battle Gnome. There is the root and the smack and the silence to top it all off. It's a nice pop-up in response here from BDE. Out comes the Hextech Ultimatum onto the top side. Control Alt Delete just trying to stay alive. Battle Gnome throwing out a lot of damage, and it's working out okay for BDE. But oh my gosh, it's not enough. OP Killswitch going to be able to find the one now. Mandolin maybe the next target here. Knack is a part of the fight. Control Alt Delete just looking for something to get a little bit more of an initiation for the rest of the team. And it could have gone a lot worse for BDE on that one.
Control Alt Elite surviving on minuscule amount of HP the entire time there. Bean Chillin did so much healing, by the way. Like, just healing up, extending that fight to ridiculous proportions. But the key factor is they didn't have any damage at that fight, Jolly. So despite the fact that the team fight was extending, they didn't really have anyone to close it out. They could try their best to out-sustain, but in the end, you can see, once Nicholas fell, they didn't have enough damage to kill.
Yep, when your main damage is a Mundo in a fight like that, that's not really where you want to be. And Control Alt Elite is doing a really good job here. Battle Gnome was able to throw out some solid attacks, but there's just not enough of a front line for Control Alt Elite really to protect the rest of the team. And there's so much initiation coming out of Elysium Blaze that they're feeling really good about all of these fights as well as objectives. And as we talk about that, the pings are coming through. Down comes Nick Lowell's, gonna get bound up there by Elise, and up moves Zach.
Okay, round 2. Ding, ding. We're going to go ahead. We're just going to fight for this one. It looks like, actually, Battle Gnome, they're shying away from this fight here. After the resets come in, they don't feel like they have the superior timing to counteract that Rift Herald. So that's going to be another objective being taken down here. Elysium Blaze, they're going to get that Rift Herald this time around.
You get the Rift Herald, a little bit of damage in exchange for BDE here on the bottom side because Soraka has a bit of roaming there in the mid lane. And as they navigate their way down, the pings do come through. BDE is aware of these two members trying to gank.
Oh, that's a huge trade from Control Alt Elite. And there's not that much healing in the kit of Nick Lulz here. So that's going to be a very, very important trade. As Battle Gnome is taking a trip up there, that could be a potential dive. Nick Lulz recognizes this as playing safe, waiting for Chihuahua to get into range.
And Chihuahua has shown up just a few times, but they've been very impactful appearances, throwing out the ultimate, securing a few kills. Now we're getting to the point as well where when you have been chillin', roaming around like this, and Idris able to just kind of sustain this lane themselves, you're feeling really good if you are Elysium Blaze or a fan of theirs. Of course, Control Alt Elite, being this kind of saving grace for the top side, is able to pick up some plates.
Yeah, those plates are going to be well needed for his team here. They're already behind about 1.7k, so they're going to need to start making it up somewhere on the map quite soon. Oh, that is a very far range stretching strikes. Kill switch here, just putting so much pressure that he's up in a melee matchup in the mid lane. Knack should definitely be the one getting the superior of the Zac, but it's just no way to contest the waves. Just has to give everything at this point.
Yep, that is the unfortunate side here. However, BDE isn't out of it yet. They do have a lot of scaling and opportunities there.
Oh, wait a minute, junglers collide?
Battle Gnome hasn't really been involved in a lot of these fights. Idris taking so much damage or so much health off of JL. A Mandolin, the following target. Chihuahua comes down, throws out Shelly. And that will be the first tower down in favor of Elysium Blaze. And in the meantime, they're looking for an engage. There's the elastic slingshot. There is the Cyclone. A Mandolin might not get out of this with a flash forward. The second proc of the Cyclone coming through.
Oh, huge
There's the
shockwave.
clone and a massive shockwave pulls 4 members of Elysium Blaze. That means that BDE can re-engage onto this one. It's OP kill switch that is their target. Still has his passive up. He's going to have to flash away from this one. And no more kills come through.
All right, somehow, not a single kill in that little 4v4 team fight there. Nick Lulz, though, getting in a bit of a duel with Amundo. HP going low, has to flash to survive under turret there. And this dragon is going to be uncontested at the moment. That 4v4 Knack hit, like what? Was that a 4-man shockwave?
It was 4.
Absolutely huge for the turnaround.
Maybe 5,
of
including the clone.
Does the clone damage even count as... anyway, battle... I think another important factor is kill switch finding Battle Gnome in the jungle even before that fight starts. I like how Elysium Blaze recognize that we have Rift Herald. We have an opportunity to blow open the bot lane here, as Mundo is going to take that call. They drop the Rift Herald. They have kill switch move down from the mid lane first, has that prio, has that pressure, and affords them that play. And despite the team fight going nowhere, they do pick up a 3k gold lead overall due to the Rift Herald and those turret plates. So Elysium Blaze, from ahead, they're playing this excellently.
Yeah, especially, I mean, a 3k gold lead at less than 15 minutes in is really substantial. They're also making moves onto this next objective. They got their first tower. That dragon might have gone over to BDE, but they're going to make sure that the second dragon is taken by Elysium Blaze. And again, really the saving grace here for BDE, at least looking towards the team fight stage, is going to be Control Alt Elite. So we're going to try to get a bit of a balance here. Battle Gnome is going to get Hextech ultimatumed, but it's too little too late. Another kill going over Control Alt Elite in the top side.
Control Alt Elite getting a lot of assists from the Battle Gnome, and it's been working out here. Elise is 1, 2, and 2, but importantly, Control Alt Elite, Elite, 3 and 1. I don't know how you managed to say Control Alt Elite every single time, but he did delete Nick Lulz there on that top side.
He did, and that's going to be a traded tower as well. And when we look at, the gold, and when we look at the score line, it's not really indicative of this 5v6, right? 1 tower each, 1 dragon each. It feels, on paper, much more heavily in favor of Elysium Blaze, but Elysium Blaze cannot take that for granted, right? They cannot allow BDE to take over any of these fights because the game can very easily, at this point right now, swap focus, and BDE is capable of taking over here if there are mistakes made by Elysium Blaze.
Yeah, I think the worry they have to have is if Control Alt Elite continues this snowball topside, Nick Lowles is going to be basically shut out of the game. And Nick Lowles is an important factor of getting these Tristana backline kills. However, Mundo is not really going to be able to carry a game in these team fights if Idris is the fed one on the opposite side. Just going to be not able to run down the Zeri, one of the quickest 80 carries in the game, sustained movement speed in a team fight. So they need something else to be in favor of them. I think Knack is scaling so far, doing a great job. However, they're going to need to, they're going to need to accelerate this mid laner a bit here because Idris, if nothing happens, if this is the status quo, going to hit all the spikes first, going to get 3 items first, and then going to be massive in these team fights. And then there's very little you can do to come back from that.
That's true. I do like, at least, you've got the Kraken Slayer picked up now for JL. So there is a little bit of counter to the tankiness that is really helping out Elysium Blaze right now. Maybe we'll see if they can get a jump on one of these fights. A nice attempt at a snare there. Does not hit for Battle Gnome. But they still have priority here for BDE on focusing around these objectives. And right there, that Q dealing a lot of damage from Control Alt Elite. Maybe now the fight being engaged upon as Battle Gnome, Manolin, and JL try to move in. Elysium Blaze, though, stays nice and safe.
Yeah, Mundo just completely zoning them away, like 10 feet away from the Rift Herald. Do not come close to this crab here. They're going to go ahead and push the mid lane. Oh, they're going to completely give up the mid lane. That is a worthwhile trade. All right, they're going to pull down JL, but it might be a little too late. Rift Herald from mid turret, that's about an even trade at this stage.
Is Knack trying to maybe throw something over the wall and actually gets jumped on here by OP Killswitch. Down goes the tower. A nice shockwave on top of it. Only picking up 2 members, though. Bean Chillin was the real target there, and his Control Alt Elite is attempting to get into this. Battle Gnome will flash forward. In they go. Out comes the Spider. Chihuahua with the Cyclone on the backside, looking for the second proc of that. And Elysium Blaze poking back with a lot of decent damage.
All right, they're going to use Idris to stop the fight cold. They didn't want to fight into the Zeri. There's no way to catch her there. However, this is going to let them have pressure in the mid lane because now they can't fight without Idris' ultimate.
In comes the Elastic Slingshot. OP Killswitch taking a lot of damage. Control Alt Elite okay with eating up a lot of those. Knack takes the exhaust, though. A nice little proxy player there for Control Alt Elite to make sure that Zeri's not able to get those Qs off and across. JL dealing a lot to Chihuahua, who's going to clone out of there. And that means that the Rift Shelly's sister, I call her Kelly, has been summoned.
Oh, Kelly. All right.
Yeah,
so
I know everybody has a different name for her.
Yeah, what was the
Shirley.
LCK's? Yeah, Shirley, but was the first one is Shelly and then Shirley? Okay.
Yeah, Shelly. Yeah, Shelly is.
Oh, but you like to rhyme. You prefer the rhyme scheme.
It just makes more sense to me. It's Shelly and Kelly. Okay. I think it's cute.
All right, as we have Idris on a 500 gold bounty. Look at this, completely steamrolling ahead of JL here. A complete reverse of game number 1. Nick Lowles has to push in this wave. Control Elite says no. And that's just going to be that. Mundo is going to go where he pleases. But taking a look at this 80 carry difference, it looks like about 2.5k gold lead just about. And that's going to net an item difference in this fight. If it occurs right now, Dragon coming up in 5 seconds.
Ooh, I like this. OP Killswitch.
Oh wait, Soraka caught.
But there are too many members. Battle Gnome going to deal a lot of damage, and out
That's
comes
huge.
the Wild Growth on to Battle Gnome there. Knack going to be able to pick up the kill, and that is going to send Elysium Blaze running for the hills.
All right, they have the Soraka. Soraka is one of those enchanters that you have to protect because the value she provides in a team fight. Getting picked out there by Knack and Battle Gnome is huge because they're not going to have the ability to heal up their front line to sustain through these fights. Mundo will prove superior, and that means Idris does not have enough time to deal damage in these fights. They're going to push down a tier 2 like it was nothing, made of butter right there. And now Chihuahua being surrounded. If they give this up, this could be Baron.
That is not good. We know the clone was just taking Control Alt Elite, waiting for the next briefcase to come up to find the slow. He's dealing so much damage. He's going to be able to do something under tower, but he has to turn back around. Idris dealing too much damage to a Mandolin. Ends up getting pushed back there. Back comes Chihuahua. JL able to poke off a lot of damage. A Mandolin still barely alive. The Cyclone coming through on the backside will allow OP Killswitch to find one there. In comes Nick Lowles. Out comes the Hextech Ultimatum, and down goes Battle Gnome. The rest of BDE on the run. Control Alt Elite might not be able to escape from this one, especially with OP Kill Switch walking in with the elastic slingshot. JL, the only member able to survive.
If you're hanging around in Elysium's forest a little too long, you're going to be taken out. They just got complete flanks throughout that fight, Jolly, just coming in, like from the side angles, blindsiding BDE, and Idri is just free firing the whole time. That's the one thing you didn't want to have happen, was the free fire of the Zeri, and that's going to net them a Baron because that team fight was just too clean.
Oh, it was so good. It was beautiful, and it was Elysium Blaze executing their composition exactly how it needed to be done, especially after that bad fight where they lost Bean Chillin', they lost OP Kill Switch, such a quick recovery, and then to be able to extend that gold lead again, because we had BDE very close, within 1K difference of that up until that prior team fight. So Elysium Blaze has found more control again, and as long as they hold this, we would be looking at a game number 3 here, Crims.
That's well what we're looking forward here. It's not going to be as secure as that game 1 start from BDE because they didn't really have that same control over the dragon as they did in game number 1. So there's going to be more steps. However, if they do get another Baron, I think they should be able to close out the game all the same here. And I think we're going to be a little bit worried for Bean Chillin', because Bean Chillin', if you die, that's a lot of the heart of your team being taken out here. And Nick Lowles should be fine in the Mundo, however, could get run down. Oh, look at that damage. The Divine Sunder, the Q, the true damage. It just seems unfair.
It really does. I like the Jack Show on Control Elite now, but it's not making it easy for him to go into Nick Lowles. Now Battle Gnome is in a really bad spot, gonna be able to hop up and manage to escape out of the clutches of 3 members of Elysium Blaze.
That is at the cost of Knack-Knack's ultimate. Shockwave is down. That is a game decider, team fight negotiator right there. And so now they're not going to be able to have that for defense, as Nick Lowles is just taking turrets in the face of Control Elite. Just complete reversal in that top side. They're going to be able to take down 2 of these turrets. Battle Gnome trying to make a gank happen in the meantime. However, these turrets, their time is limited.
Ooh. That almost looked like a little bit of that was a buffer, I believe. The landing and the pop-up of that into jail using the rocket jump to get out. So they managed to do it, but at what cost? And this is very similar to what we saw in the last game. It's just reverse, right? Real control held by Elysium Blaze, and BDE is forced to play reactively here, which is not what they want to do. There's another elastic slingshot, the polymorph onto OP Kill Switch. A nice W there by Adrees to poke some damage onto Knack-Knack. And it's up to Elysium Blaze to decide where they want to go next, because they have free reign of the Rift.
Yeah, those turrets going to open up the map so much for them. And now they just have to wait that minute. It might be a very painful minute for them. They want to get this done as quickly as possible, as you know they're pretty far off from a 4 dragon take here. So they're going to want to speed this up. They have 1 minute on the dragon, 3 on that second Baron. That's really what I think they should be playing for, is that second Baron. Going to give them exactly what they need to close out these turrets here. But they can siege up. They have Zeri, not the shortest range AD carry, so they have that ability to stay at a turret, siege it. They could heal with Soraka if they take any poke damage from the Ori and or the Elise. And so they can use that route as well. As, okay, Nick Lowles, yes, do not take that hook shot in. Thank you.
Nope. That's hook shot out. Already Elysium Blaze, again, I'm going to touch on the fact that I really wanted more vision from them, and this is excellent. This is exactly what I wanted. They have been layering it down. They have been doing been dedicating themselves much more to clearing out vision. As we can see, there's a Baron pit.
There's a dangerous pocket here, though. We see a lot of blue.
And so their aggressive wards are starting to go down, but they're playing both aggressively and defensively with that. And now it's OP Kill Switch, potentially looking for Slingshot here. Out goes the ball. The Shockwave doesn't follow it up. JL is soloed out on this. Amandalin is the target. Hextech Ultimatum onto Control Elite, who gets popped up time and time again. The Bouncy House as Zach comes popping through, and it's a lot of damage from Battle Gnome, but not quite enough to secure a kill. JL still just sitting over here in the Dragon Pit waiting for the rocket jump to be available, but it doesn't matter. Nick Lowles is going to be there just in time. The hook shot over the wall. Knack-Knack now the one surviving member who might make it out with their lives. Actually, Amandalin was able to flash away from this one. In comes the elastic slingshot. It's not quick enough though. Knack is in such a dangerous spot, and it's Idris who's gonna be able to find the kill.
Had the shield bow, so was not going to get zeroed out right there. And that is the second dragon. They're going to even it up, but I think this game's going to be over before that soul even hits. 1 minute left on the Baron, and they're already sieging up this mid turret. Once they take this, should be inhib, flow right into that Baron and taking the game after this point here. All right, they're going to hold off on that. They don't think they have enough time with these reset timers here.
Interesting.
But again, Idris just firing in these team fights. Not to mention, JL had to peel off Chihuahua and kill switch only to eject them right into Mundo. And then they all just dogpiled on him and then won the team fight. Very, very sad for Control Alt Elite, who was such a powerhouse in the beginning phases of this game.
Yep, he was. He had a really decent CS lead. He had a lot of prowess, and he's just not able to sustain the front line. There's just too much of an engage, and also too much absorbability on the side of Elysium Blaze. Their composition really coming to fruition here, and they're executing it perfectly. It is going to be BDE that comes around, tries to lay down some vision, so at least they know where Elysium Blaze is focusing. But part of that is because their jungle's been completely cleared out, so they have very little to gain on their side of the map.
They do know Baron's next up on the chopping block. They're going to try to stop it, but exactly the problem now. They just have mismatched members into the side of Elysium Blaze. And how can you win a team fight without the Mundo?
Yeah.
It's going to be absolutely impossible. I like their macro, though, because they recognize they have to get vision down on the Baron. That's going to stall for time. And maybe they don't get anything out of this push, but at least they're going to force someone to come by and fix these waves. And they're completely delaying the Baron. BDE, they're down, but their macro ain't out.
It's true. In the meantime, though, you have the goddess of side laning herself, Camille, pushing in the bottom lane. JL is the only one who's able to respond to that.
Oh, they can't get out.
That tower, but it's too many members of Elysium Blaze, Battle Gnome, and Knack running into the enemy turrets because that is all they have going for them, and they weren't even able to pick up that inhibitor. Now, they were able to get a shutdown right there. That's yet another kill here for JL, but again, I'll keep asking, at what cost?
All right, well, this game's all over.
Yeah.
There's look, we're just waiting for the turrets to fall here. So now I think this is going to give us an opportunity, just like we did for Elysium Blaze. BDE, what went wrong in this game? I think Elysium Blaze's better draft overall is helping them out, but that bot side gank from Battle Gnome. I said it in game number 1, and I'm going to say it again. The first ganks from Battle Gnome aren't really proving to be that effective, and in this game actually turned out to be a bit detrimental.
Yes. Yeah. You know, it was looking really close there towards the middle of the game when BDE had narrowed the gold lead or the differential between them to less than 1,000. But it felt like BDE just ended up being a little too confident, and particularly Control Alt Elite. Unfortunately, getting caught out multiple times. We're looking at really long timers now. And, you know, while BD is doing a good job of trying to even out these objectives, it is still 2-2 in terms of dragons, and it's 5-6 in terms of towers. It's just not enough, and that results in something like this happening, where Control Alt Elite, once again, is way too far forward, will be pinched here, and there's nothing that can be done about it.
Can't even get away with the Hextech ultimatum being used. And now they're just dogpiling Mundo. I do think he's buying time, though, so honestly, it's not too bad. I know it looks bad on paper, but being chilling, all right, gonna
nice
flash away. Soraka without a flash is a lot more squishier in these fights. Does not have as much ability to get away, and they're stalling out this Baron quite well. They haven't gotten any turrets just yet. Baron's about almost halfway. Knack pushing that all the way up to the turret on the top side. So BDE, they really know how to play out these games despite being behind. Yeah. And that might be something that might sway our minds for our game 3 predictions here, Jolly.
Yeah, very possibly. They're responding and reacting well. It's a much higher gold differential in favor of Elysium Blaze than that last game, but it feels like, you know, there's a bit of a grip, at least, that BDE has. However, this game, if Control Alt Elite once again goes in too far, that could spell the end of the game. And the more time that ticks down, the worse it's feeling for BDE, especially when Elysium Blaze just continues to clear out the jungle, clear out their own camps, and just give BDE absolutely nothing in return.
Wow, they don't even get an inhib off this Baron. This is a wasted opportunity. It is going to give them pressure for the dragon, but they I think they could have won the game off that Baron here. So the distraction. Look at this Control Elite already in the mid lane again.
In the mid lane, Knack has to flash away. Obviously, Knack the target here. The Cyclone's gonna come out. Elysium Blaze doesn't even need to be economical about their abilities and ultimates because they are so oppressive right now. And once again, Nick Lowles, the split side laner that he is invading the base while Dragon is being taken by BDE. OP kill switch, using the ultimate, trying to get as much damage down as possible. Battle Gnome was able to snag that one, but I will ask once again, Crims, at what cost are they gaining so little?
You know, they're just completely ignoring you at this point, Jolly. It's kind of weird.
It really feels that way. It really does. You know, that's okay. That's fair. They're playing a game, all right? They're busy. They're in the middle of something, but maybe they can find a bit of a counter here. The problem is all 5 members of Elysium Blaze are now in the base. Not only that, you got stacked up minions coming through, and you have 20 seconds on JL and Amandalin. This should be the end of game number 2. Come on, Elysium. Come on, guys. Come on. Come on. Be confident. Look at you. They are so far. You are 10K up. Like, nobody's even at half health.
I don't think they know they're 10K up.
Being chillin's like full man. Like, this is
you gotta feel 10K up at least, right? Yeah. I mean, they don't. I don't know. I guess they just want to stack dragons for the stats at the end of the day. I don't know what this is. What can be lost
though? Even if they do all die there, there's nothing on the map that BDE can really gain off of that, right? Like, they can't push lanes in far enough. They can't respond. Like, I feel like it would have been worth it to just try to close out the game there, because the worst thing that happens is they get cleared and they have to kind of reset, and BDE just pressures the minions back a tiny bit.
I mean, there's no way they ace you there either. Like, you have your ults. You're stronger.
Soraka's there. She's almost full health.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Nicholas wants to end this game. Knack dropped dangerously low. Battle Gnome, he's in tow. He's gonna make it a time. That's a negative. As JL here in this 2v1. Sorry, Jolly. I don't know what I'm doing.
Hey, you're good. There have been plenty of fights. You know what? I'm more than okay with you taking 1 or 2 of them.
I always frame it as I'm giving my play-by-play a break, giving the vocal cords a break.
I'm okay with that.
That's just marketing, though.
Those little fights, you know what? It's going to continue to result in Elysium Blaze just finding one pickup and then being able to secure a lot off of that, right? Now, this is the last real opportunity for BDE moving forward. The Elastic Slingshot was, I think, canceled there. OP kill switch not wanting to go on that. Idree's actually getting a little bit caught up, but there goes the Slingshot. There goes the slap. Chihuahua goes in with the Cyclone, and it's a Mandolin that is the target. Would likely be taken down here. The nice polymorph, though, coming out of a Mandolin to make sure she doesn't go down. But oh my god, the damage on to JL right there. Nick Lowles doing so much for the team. Now chasing this Dr. Mundo into the base, and the rest of the team looking to maybe pad their stats a little bit more as out comes the Hextech Ultimatum. Nick Lowles still doing a lot of damage. The Nexus falls. 34 minutes in. Elysium Blaze push this to a game number 3, Crims.
I like how everyone else is trying to end the game, and Idris is like, no, we can win the fight. I want to boost my stats some more. Give me more kills, more team fight damage. And if we're talking about team fight damage, I think we all know who's going to top the chart right there. Idris at a very swell 40K. That's above everyone by at least 10 to 15K across the board. And this Zeri pick looking very, very much needs to be banned or taken away in the 3rd draft of this series here. Yeah,
that was just way too oppressive. And, you know, it's funny because the Zeri wasn't banned out. It was, you know, for the first game, it was something that was actually available to them. So I really just think the cohesion of the composition itself works so well. That Zeri and Soraka down in the bottom lane did such a good job. You had some early roam capable for that Soraka, which meant that the mid lane was able to get a little bit of a boost. And while things looked really good for Dr. Mundo in the top lane, you can't get too confident about being seemingly unkillable, you know, because once you get past a certain point in the game, when you have 2 to 3 people collapse on you, there's just no chance unless you have retaliation from your team. And unfortunately, it felt like there were opportunities where maybe BDE could have responded to some of the fights that Elysium Blaze was taking, but either it ended way too quickly or maybe the comms just weren't there and positioning wasn't there for any actual response to come through. So honestly, the things that I was complaining that I saw in Elysium Blaze game number 1, they were like, that pep talk that they got from the coach must have been something otherworldly, because everything was cleaned up. Everything.
Yeah, I think he just went in there, slapped everyone around, got their spirits up, said, "Hey, we're a winning team here." Just brought up the team, turned around in the draft, and Idris, I mean, not even threatened in this game, and that shows in that 0 death scoreline there. Was just completely free, had all the freedom in the world. No one was holding this Zeri down.
Yep.
And just completely strong arming this game here. Is it going to be banned? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe a takeaway here. The Lulu first pick, though, that was definitely a blunder.
Yeah, and the Lulu played really well. Actually, Mandolin didn't even die until like way later towards the game, but it didn't matter because JL was the one that was the focus and was killed multiple times. But the composition, when you break it down really in the simplest terms, it was protect the Zeri. And that is all they did. You had the Zac, the Wukong, the Camille, the Engage to make sure that Zeri is able to have some backup, and then Soraka to keep her alive, right? So I really like the concept that Elysium Blaze went in on this one with, and it felt like with Basement Dwellers, they were just hoping that maybe their individual prowess could overcome, these counter picks, seemingly. We didn't have the front line necessary. I appreciate the Dr. Mundo, but when you have like the Elise as your jungler there, you need a support that is going to be able to provide some crowd control or some front line. Otherwise, you're just kind of setting yourself up for failure. It was too squishy. There wasn't enough of a capacity for commitment based on the selected champions. So I liked the Mundo. I didn't really like the Elise.
Yeah, what happened to Vi? Was Vi banned that game?
Vi was banned. Vi was the third ban. So it was taken away. That's why the Lulu came through. Because instead of banning Lulu, they respect banned the Vi.
Okay. Well, There you go. They did have a very solid strat in that ban of Vi. Mundo was not the prescription, but definitely wasn't the problem either in that game. As we're going to go ahead and turn it to a break, and then we're going to get that very, very contested game number 3. Both these teams with a stomp. Who will rise for that second place? We're going to see in a coming moments.
And this is it. This is what we are here for. This is what we hope for every time we are told there will be a best of 3 series. Game number 3. We love to see it. BDE pretty determinedly took game number 1, and I can say the same thing really of Elysium Blaze. The script was flipped. It seems like blue side may be cursed, Crims.
Yeah, I think it's, what was it? The disaster and bot side, both games so far. Look, I don't think you're afforded the opportunity to mess up bot side in this meta. Yeah. You can't do it. You're going to throw the game in one play. If you let the enemy get a free lead, happened game 1 through the picks, and now it happened game 2 through that unwise gank we had by Battle Gnome here. And that just tells the story of the meta right now. Don't mess up bot side. Make sure you get control. Make sure you have a very solid bot lane combo, or else, you know, the game's just going to go ahead and be uncontrollable. They're going to stack those dragons, and then they're just going to go ahead and close out the game here. So I think that's the story that's being told in this game here, Jolly.
All right, let's see if we can... My camera does not believe that my face is a face. It keeps blurring me out. But yeah, we're going to have to see how this turns out, because, you know, after game... I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be totally honest here. After game number 1, I was like, you know, BDE just played better. BDE just seems like the better team. And it does feel like they had more of a response than Elysium Blaze, but I don't really feel that way. Now, after game number 2, the recovery was absolutely there from Elysium Blaze. We'll see if this is accurate, if they are actually on the blue side. Once again, or not, because it is possible that this blue side is cursed right now. But just based on what was learned between games 1 and 2, Elysium Blaze really impressed me, and BDE kind of took a little bit of a nosedive.
They definitely were turning sour in game number 2. I do have to say, I was pointing it out in game number 2, but they had some pretty good responses despite the losing game state to the situations at hand. They were stalling out the Baron multiple times, and so that cut the time of the Baron in half, made it hard to close out the game. Yep. They do make some good calls. They did win that one fight Rift Herald, which gave them that one opportunity to come back in the game. Completely thrown away because they overfought in the jungle, though. So BDE, they had some good looks despite the losing game states, despite the early game demise. Yeah. So... for you, Jolly, does that give you a little bit of an edge that they're the one who's going to prove superior in the end here?
If I was forced to pick a team that so far has impressed me in the overall, it would be BDE. As we hop into draft, let us see if this is accurate. And it seems like it is, because so far Elysium Blaze has banned out the Anivia and then the Rek'Sai and either the Vi or the Lulu. I wouldn't be surprised if they stuck with the Lulu. That also means that BDE, they still have to deal with only having 2 bans in the first phase, having not met their minimum game requirement for the week.
I mean, yeah, that's probably a huge factor that we haven't talked about. They are down a ban, and now in this game 3 where they lost, I mean, if you steamroll 2-0, doesn't look like it much, but now after losing it, you have to really think about what you don't want to be playing against. And now that Zeri is going to be in the back of your mind, and they have blue side, so they could first pick it here. Yep. What are you going to ban? What are you going to take away? Do you have a good counter pick? What's your strategy? There is no Vi. So this is signaling, hey, if you don't ban Zeri, we're going to take it. And maybe we're going to get a repeat of game number 2 here.
Mm-hmm. In which case, you have to be scared. There it is. You have to be scared that if they're going to first pick Zeri, is it going to once again be the first counter pick of the Lulu, which we really don't want. We don't have to worry about that, though, because it is going to be the Zeri ban. So big respect coming out of BDE and recognizing that Elysium Blaze there was a big backpack for Carrie in that last one, or for Zeri in that last one. Zach is going to be the first lock-in. And I like it. This is a flex pick as well. This is a pretty, broad flex pick. I'm not sure what the players on the side of Elysium Blaze, how familiar they are with that. But BDE is going to respond once again, locking in their bottom lane. And they have selected Caitlyn Lulu.
I'm not a big fan of just locking in your bot lane like this. It opens you up to a complete lane counter. And I'm just gonna say it. Caitlyn Lulu. Like, what are you? Come on, where's Caitlyn Lux? Where's Caitlyn Carbo? Where's the tried and true combos? What's going on this series here? Do they really think Lulu's that important that they have to steal it plus give it with Caitlyn? I think you could have went. I don't know. I would have preferred maybe even Xayah Lulu over Caitlyn Lulu, but I'm not a fan of this. Now, Lulu's not the absolute worst pick, but I'm not a fan. Now, Camille showing to be a bit of weird prio here in this game. Typically, you don't see top laner prio something like Camille blind, but they're doing it here from Elysium Blaze. Nick Lowles really liked that matchup. He got topside with the blind pick Camille.
And this is going to force BDE either. You pick your counter now.
Oh, wait a minute!
And this is exactly what I mentioned in the last game. Remember, this is exact. I said in the last game, I was saying Olaf. It was the Mundo that was actually picked up. But this is the one that I had pointed out in that last game, right? Offer yourself that unstoppable, the Ragnarok, and provide a little bit more coverage for the front line here. But I liked Elysium Blaze by locking in that Camille. It forced BDE to say, okay, either our next two bans are going to be, or sorry, Elysium Blaze's next two bans are going to be focused against the Camille, or it forces BDE to pick up a counter, and that means Elysium Blaze can really pick and choose with their final ban phase. So we've got the LeBlanc. It looks like both of these teams are focusing on the mid, or even potentially the support, right, as you've got a bit of the flexibility with that Ziggs.
I would have preferred a Karma here instead of the Lulu pick because, Jala, you can also flex it into top or mid. So I think the Karma flex would have been a lot better here. Now, of course, Lulu can do a similar thing, not as effective. So if that's what they're going to do, I'll feel a little bit better because that does pair up with Olaf. You want Olaf with like some kind of enchanter so that he survives longer to deal enough damage. The problem is he's going up against an Ezreal here who's going to have a bit of protectability all on his own. Now they're going to go ahead and get rid of that Wukong. They did not like it from Elysium Blaze in game one. And they're not sold that this is a top lane Olaf, Jolly. We see a Shen ban. They want to make sure that this Olaf's going topside and not sneaking his way into the jungle.
Oh, and it is actually a jungle
it does anyway.
Olaf pick. Okay, so now we have, you know, two members with that unstoppable potential, right? You've got the Ragnarok, and then you also have the passive from Dr. Mundo for at least that single proc. So you have a lot more opportunity for them to engage. Also, just thank you, BDE, for including two frontliners on this one, especially being so vulnerable with a Caitlyn and a Lulu because of the mobility. I mean, just the first three picks that Elysium Blaze has in Camille, Ezreal, and Zac, three of the most mobile champions you can possibly get, and we saw what Elysium Blaze is capable of. I'm not sure that I love this Olaf Mundo as the picks, but I'm glad that we at least have a sustainable front line here for BDE.
Yeah, they do have pretty sizable front line, and this one does do damage. Olaf Mundo, nothing to scoff at there, as we're going to have Victor potentially rounding out Elysium Blaze's comp. They throw Zac in the jungle this time, and now they're going to afford themselves a lot more damage from their mid laner backline damage in this Victor. And we're seeing their comp overall. It's going to be a team fight comp, very heavily reliant on engage here. They do have the Camille flank, but this Karma going to be providing a lot of mobility and shielding. And I think that's going to do nicely into this Olaf and Mundo. That's really their one hard counters is a heal or something like shielding or more HP. I don't know, what would you call a spell that just gives you more HP? Is there a term for that? There needs to be a term for that.
Wait.
No, like Lulu's ult or like Renekton's ult, where you actually get more HP.
Growth. It's okay. It's like it's like
I guess health growth. Okay, that's not a bad term.
Yeah, health growth. Well, it's wild growth, so it definitely fits with the Lulu's ultimate. But yeah, I do like if you get Olaf or Mundo, and then particularly Olaf, Ragnarok, and then run in and then get wild growth and pop everybody up. That's awesome. There is still a lot of opportunity for Elysium Blaze to escape. They have plenty of escape potential, and we already saw how good this Zac is. Now, here's the thing that really is going to kind of not set my opinion, but give me a pretty good indicator of Elysium Blaze, is if they are capable of pulling off this Zac as well as they did having him in the mid lane. That is a beautiful, beautiful flex. Being capable of saying, all right, our mid laner took this Zac, we absolutely wrecked it. It really helped us in the last game. Now going into the next game, let's pick it early on. You just assume, especially in lower elo, that flex picks are less flexible because of the players who are actually capable of properly performing on them. So I'm really curious to see how Chihuahua handles this one. Chihuahua has been doing a really good job with the aggressors and the tanky engagers. So I have a pretty good feeling here about Elysium Blaze. And given these compositions, you asked me before we did this draft whether or not I had confidence still in BDE. I like Elysium Blaze's draft. I like their draft and their composition here better than I like BDE's. Not to say they can't execute it, but on paper, I think it's more cohesive.
Yeah, this is what I call a meatball comp from the side of BDE. They have 3 short-range, pretty tanky members, and their idea is they're going to out-sustain you in fights and just run you down like a rolling meatball. So that's what they're going to do. And I think just kind of what you're providing here is that Elysium Blaze, they have that kiting capability. They have the ability to deal damage safely as they run backwards. And Ezreal Victor are 2 champions that can do that. They have shielding on the Victor Q and the speed up from Victor's Q as well. And Ezreal has the Arcane Shift. We know that story. So not only that, they have the Camille who can dive onto that Lulu. I mean, if she doesn't shield or speed boost this Olaf, Mundo, or Swain, well, that's going to be none of that extra sustained tankiness in that team fight here. And Caitlyn, look, she's a good AD carry right now by controlling the bot side. Not so much a backline damage dealer. She does do that, but not as good as other champions here. So from the side of BDE, it's going to rely on this early game execution. If they get ahead, they're going to have the HP bars and the damage to out-sustain. If they fall behind, even maybe potentially even just a little bit, Elysium Blaze, I think, has the game. So do you trust in BDE's execution? That's the question right now. And I am on the fence, Jolly. I don't know which way it's going to go. You're going to have to give me some more time to think about this.
I agree with this one. Like I said, before the draft, you'd asked me maybe if I still have that confidence. I was kind of leaning a little towards BDE. But based on what has been picked up here and how this draft phase was done by Elysium Blaze, I think they were really, really smart in how they performed this and how they ran through their pick order. And yeah, it's hard. I'm on the fence because I would have said before that BDE just seemed to understand the map and have more control. But given that last game, there was plenty of vision. There was plenty of control of the map by Elysium Blaze. And like I said, I like their composition better. I think it offers a little bit more of a fallback as opposed to BDE. If they do not do well, if their tanks get behind, yes, Swain has really good spikes, like mid and late game Swain is disgusting. But we've seen that Elysium Blaze can prevent that from happening.
Yeah, you know, I just can't abide by Caitlyn Lulu lane, Jolly. I just can't. It's just bugging me too much. I'm going to call it. Elysium Blaze are going to pick up this win in a reverse sweep. Yeah, reverse sweep. I mean, not impressive in a best of 3, but you know what? We're still going to say it. Reverse sweep here for Elysium Blaze. I'm calling it.
Yeah, you know what? You know, I mean, if we're putting down bets on this, not obviously, but I would have to. You know what? I gotta give BD a little bit of credit. All right, game number 2 maybe didn't look so good. Like I said, I like Elysium Blaze's comp better, but given the performance of game number 1, BDE is absolutely capable of kind of reigning supreme in terms of the mental, right? And it felt like game number 2, they kept trying to do that, but they kept falling apart just because their win condition was really abstract. It was really obscure. So I'll give that to them. As long as they can keep some control over this game, they'll be good. If they can push this one out again to like that 35 minutes, things are looking pretty slick for them. But Ezreal Karma, the initiations here with the Camille, the Zac, I mean, it's a really good setup for Elysium Blaze. It's a very similar win condition to the last game, right? Protect the Zeri, keep her alive. Very similar here, but it's going to be instead this Ezreal and this Karma.
Yeah, Ezreal also has the ability to go over walls. And guess which 3 champions are going to be doing most of the damage? Guess what they can't do? Oh, yeah, they can't go over any walls. So Olaf, Dr. Mundo, Swain, they have to use a flash to do so. And depending on where they fight, Ezreal could just have, again, could have the safest situation possible. So BDE, you're going to have to make sure you play this one right. As I think we've said most of what we wanted to say here, Jolly. We have our predictions out. Yours conditional, but I'll let that slide. As we have our last moments before this game, Elysium Blaze, Basement Dwellers, your final shot to take that second place slot. Going to send it to a break.
30 seconds until minions spawn. Minions have spawned.
None of them are this. Ha! Call me when the stakes are higher.
On the top side, Control Alt Elite is taking a lot of damage, has the upper hand in terms of experience, but is taking far too much right now from Nick Lowles. And this one will not result in a kill either.
Yeah, he was chunked half health level 1, so Nick Lowles, he wanted this bounce to happen, is just manipulating the wave in his favor. But now, if he goes a little too far, if he oversteps for the kill, Battle Gnome going to be getting first blood for his team there. As, you know, that gravity field, just forcing Battle Gnome to walk all the way around it. That was very sad to watch as a jungler. I was like, oh no, that was such a good field placed by Killswitch. Saved his life and saved first blood for his team.
Yep. That's going to slow down Elysium Blaze at least a little bit. Now Battle Gnome going to navigate back into the jungle, going for the Raptors instead of trying to influence another lane here. Probably smart considering Chihuahua is already set back 24-33 in favor of Battle Gnome in terms of CS. We're talking about favor that has definitely been for Elysium Blaze in the bottom side. Not to discredit Jael and Amandalin for dealing damage, but just as you were talking about before, this is not the easiest lane for them here. There's a lot of damage on the opposing side.
Yeah, the Lulu ultimate is not going to get much value unless Idris does something crazy and like Arcane Shifts on top of JL, which is like, come on. What kind of Ezreal is going to do that? As I mean, the double scuttle though that you're talking about, proving to be huge. It's such a lead for Battle Gnome. As you can see already, 4-5. And already don't declare. So Battle Gnome going to hit 6 in probably, what, 2-3 camps here? Probably just 2. And now that's a big, big difference from the first gank, because now the gravity well or field not going to be effective against Ragnarok.
Yep, exactly. That is the one nice thing about having, Battle Gnome, and not only Ragnarok, but also, like I was saying, Control Delete, right? Dr. Mundo with that passive, he's going to be able to prevent one of those forms of hard CC. So there's a little bit of, reconciliation, I guess, for BDE. But alluding back to what you talked about before, Crims, the ability to get over walls, the ability to actually get around some of these obstacles is going to be difficult. And while that gravity well might not find a lockdown, it can still at least provide some spacing for Elysium Blaze. So that's what we're going to have to see if BDE can navigate around as they try to put a little bit of focus towards this dragon.
All right, there it is. Battle Gnome, level 6. And now that's their opportunity to really get them started. Can they find a gank, or are they just going to do dragon here? That is going to be quite interesting. It looks like they're just beelining bot side, but they're hanging around in the river. Looks like they're yet to make a solid decision at this moment.
We saw the pings coming out, which meant they were likely going to go in, but I think what happened was Chihuahua showed up, and they said, all right, it's not necessarily the best position. Maybe we would rather kind of bait something out here. And that means that they're going to the mid lane instead. OP kill switch is the target here. Ragnarok will be burned, and that is absolutely a dead Victor. And first blood going over to Battle Gnome.
Yeah, I kind of predicted the future there. I imagined that would happen. Kill switch, the only one without sums on the side of Elysium Blaze, and that's where the Ragnarok went. And Victor going to be slayed just like a god right there. That's going to give them that dragon. So far, BDE, they're always first to the line of scrimmage with their aggression here. And this time it pays off.
Control Alt Elite having a much more difficult time than the last game. This is the same matchup that we saw, right? Nick Lowles was on the Camille, Control Alt Elite was on the Mundo, but found a lot more success. So again, I think something that I really have to recognize from Elysium Blaze is the growth and the adaptability between each of these games has been really, really apparent. And that's not something that you see in a lot of, lower elo teams, I would say.
I think the biggest adaptability that they did is they mind-controlled Battle Gnome to not gank top.
Yeah.
As Battle Gnome really made it hard for Nick Lowles to gain advantage there on top side. Somehow, though, just not in the back of his mind this game at all, as he's just taking it to Control Alt Elite. Kill switch, does get a nice stun, saves his life there. But that wave pushing away was just such a difficult position to be in. Luckily, Swain clears it for him there. And now, look at this. Rift Herald, this is the same story. They're going to trade objectives as in game number 2.
Yep, exactly the same. Elysium Blaze able to make the first move off of that one. We'll have to see exactly where that wants to be placed. Mid lane has been a pretty high point of contention here. Out goes the barrage, and it's a lot of damage from Idris. Not quite enough to get the kill, but maybe enough to at least pressure Jael back. We can see maybe Swain making a move down and around the backside of the Baron pit, but there is some vision in that brush. So Elysium Blaze, but it's a dash over the wall. So he avoids the vision being taken out there. Maybe has a chance for himself. Being Chillin is really low. Idris has absolutely no mana here. So he might have found something for himself. In the meantime, Hextech Ultimatum coming out onto the top side. Control Delete getting jumped on by both Chihuahua and Nick Lowles. Staying alive for a really long time. Is he going to be able to make it? He used his ultimate and he is regaining quite a bit of health. Chihuahua going in. And just too much damage from Nick Lowles. Look at this. In the meantime, bottom lane has been able to stay alive and do a lot more damage to BDE as well. Can they sustain this?
They're managing to survive here. Kill switch gonna relieve pressure with the TP, afford his bot lane a back, and now might be just offering up himself as the sacrifice instead. Needs to clear the wave. No, Being Chilling, you should have left. Now you're just a free kill.
Should have left. Battle Gnome is here now. There is the heal. It was already burned.
This is too much
Out comes
damage.
Ragnarok. OP kill switch is trying to get as much damage down as possible. Has to flash away on this one to stay alive, and they managed to find the one. JL taking a tower shot there, but BDE looks like they gained their investment here on the bottom.
Okay, so that's a well worth trade for the side of Elysium. They get the Olaf kill at the cost of their support, so they're gonna like that one. Meanwhile, top side, They got Nick Lowell's with an advantage with those plates. I'm going to take a look at the gold, though, because it might just be straight even. No, it's a slight advantage. 300 gold for Nick Lowell's. So far, Isbine and CS should be starting to make that up. Once Divine Thunder kicks in, going to be a huge spike for the Camille here. Meanwhile, on the bot side, Idris has not been held back whatsoever. So this Ezreal pick proving to be massive so far. JL has not secured himself a lead, and Caitlyn, time and time again, everyone's gonna tell you Caitlyn needs a lead. She's pretty much useless compared to other 80 carries if they're even in the mid game.
Yeah, and you expect to with a Caitlyn because she has that early range. She's got, the headshots with that extra crit built into her kit. That early game, you want to try to get off as much poke as possible, and it really hasn't been possible. Even with Idris having, obviously, a shorter auto attack range, JL hasn't had the opportunity because there's been so much pressure from Bean Chillin'. Now Nick Lowell's goes in with the hook shot, has a wave of minions here to pressure under Control Elite's tower, and look at already how many plates have fallen. There is really just the 2 remaining.
Yeah, that's not going to hold much longer at this pace because the true damage on Camille really cuts through that plate tankiness here. And now the push in from the bot side, 1 minute away from Dragon. Oh, that Nick Lowell's, that's a little bit too far and a miss. Oh, this looks like the all-in from Control Elite.
Yep, there's the ultimate. That was expended. Hextech Ultimatum is available, but is it something that they want to risk?
Oh, it doesn't
there it
dodge
comes
anything.
out. All it takes is one briefcase, and she's able to hook shot away from it and gets out with his life. Nick Lowell stays alive, and once again, there are 4 members of BDE on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, they want to set up this dive right before the dragon, and Kill Switch looks like he's turning the aggro onto him. Is a tank somehow on this mage champion because they've just been looking at him so much. He's been taunting them, and now this dragon. Oh, this might be who determines who gets dragon.
The flash forward, Knack ends up missing. Out comes the ultimate. Teleport was used on that one, but in comes Ragnarok, and that should be plenty for Kill Switch for OP Kill Switch to be able to pick that one up. In comes Ezreal ult. Idris is a little too far behind though for them to actually make a move. Bean Chillin'. Looking maybe to lock somebody down if they can. Zach is in the background. He's not looking for the fight. So much damage on jail. And there is the wild growth needing to be burned to keep the ADC alive.
All right, Swain coming down. Knack wants more blood after killing Kill Switch. Didn't get the blast plant over the wall. Idris is out of mana, so actually, unless there's a TP somewhere in Ezreal's back pocket, they're not going to be able to really contest this, despite the fact that they might just do it anyway.
Knack maybe looking for something. Gets locked down here by Bean Chillin'. Too much damage, though, coming out of the axe there from Battle Gnome, who has already used his ultimate. There's the polymorph. There's the exhaust. It's too much damage onto Battle Gnome. He'll be taken down by Idris. The shift across as he tries to continue this fight. There's the root, thanks to the mantra from Bean Chillin'. Chihuahua tried to go in, smack those 2 together. Out comes the elastic slingshot. He will ensure that one of them gets taken down, but he will go down himself. Here's the passive, though. Are they going to be able to take down the passive? It doesn't look like it. Jael is the next target who will absolutely fall, and Chihuahua manages to come back and stay alive.
All right, they win that swiftly thanks to Battle Gnome gifting Idris mana off the back of that kill. I think they would have had it if they played a little bit differently there. And now, just complete turnaround from Elysium Blaze. Kill Switch gets into position, is able to light everyone up at the back end of that fight. And let's talk about Chihuahua. I mean, just engage after engage, setting up his team, perfect CC, dealing damage as well as getting the finishes and tanking. Chihuahua, massive in that fight, just kept rolling into slingshot after slingshot for his team, proving massive for getting this dragon and stopping the stacking jolly, which been really tough for them to counteract.
Yep, and that's what I was looking for. That was my big question was, we saw OP Kill Switch on this Zac. How is Chihuahua going to fare? Quite well. This is definitely a strong flex pick for Elysium Blaze here. And BDE, we were kind of talking about it in the intermission, how they need to have a pretty early lead to find themselves success later on in the game. And they haven't quite found it just yet. Maybe Control Alt Elite finding something on this. The Hextech Ultimatum is still up and available. He did just burn his ultimate, so he's regenning a lot. But in the meantime, Elysium Blaze is once again sending everybody down to the bottom side. Control Alt Elite just needs one more auto, but it's Nick Lowell that manages to take the fight. And both on the bottom side and the top side, Elysium Blaze find success.
Despite the Jack show, wins out on the top side with that Divine Thunder and that true damage. Still no heel cut on this Camille. Nick Lowles just wants an honest fight up there. Meanwhile, bot side, they do pick up a kill with Kill Switch. This Victor starting to become a problem. Tier fully stacked as well. The power spikes are coming.
They're coming, and pretty quick for a game like this. Elysium Blaze knows that if they continue to keep pressure here on the bottom side of the map, BDE has very little chance for Jael or a Mandolin to really be impactful in this game. Being chillin' here, gonna get polymorphed. Took a lot of tower aggro there so that Chihuahua and Idris could actually get the damage down. Beautiful aggro juggling coming out of Elysium Blaze, and another kill for them.
Yeah, that Idris getting to the first item as well. Oh, here we go. We've seen this a bunch of times. Ragnarok coming in. Kill Switch has to run away. There's no stun to save him this time around. But then when Battle Gnome comes back to mid lane in like a minute, there's going to be no Ragnarok and he's going to die. That's happened so many times this game here. Kill Switch does get shut down. Does get his trip back to base, so can buy. And now... I mean, this is probably the closest game of the entire series here, Jolly.
Oh, yeah, and that's the hope, too, right, is that we see the growth or the adaptability come through. And both of these teams have recognized that. Game 1, BDE looked really strong in map control. Elysium Blaze, they did something about that. And now here in this game, both teams really respecting each other and understanding that their win conditions need to be focused on. Elysium Blaze coming off of that last win at a pretty high, I would say, though, because they are looking really good the first 17 minutes of this game. Nick Lowles is in a scary position here, of course, and that just means that BDE might find themselves a little bit more. There's the blast cone. So well done, Nick Lowles, able to get over the wall and make sure the Control Elite and Battle Gnome are stuck on the opposite side.
Oh, what an angle. Olaf did not follow as Nick Lowles gets away, saves the bounty for another day. And now Chihuahua is the other one here. What?
Oh, just look at the damage. I mean, Control Elite, yes, is able to get that tower, but there's the Hextech Ultimatum. It's just way too much damage coming out of Nick Lowles. That's going to be yet another kill. 3-0-0 for this top laner now. And Control Elite is, feeling less and less in existence. Mundo cannot go where he pleases at this point.
Yeah, both of these, that Divine Thunder proc is just too strong. Yeah. Look, it's basically a nuke every 6 seconds, so it is to be expected here. Kill Switch, bit of trouble again.
Nice silence, but Kill Switch is going to take quite a bit.
This is good zoning here.
Has come out. He's doing a lot. Look at the ulti out of Victor. OP Kill Switch will find the one. There's the blast cone. It should be an easy pickup here for Battle Gnome, and now it's between Nick Lowles, and it is between Battle Gnome, and there the Ragnarok is still in place, meaning a good shutdown going over to Battle Gnome. And a little bit back in favor of BDE. Idris looking for, oh my god, look at that damage. It's too much, and they're going to get a Mandolin as well. It's a double kill for Elysium Blaze and the mid lane tower.
All right, they pick that up just off their skill shot powers right there. Rift Trail can be dropped bottom. They're going to be losing this. Battle Gnome, look, he saved the Ragnarok for the perfect opportunity to turn that around. Burns that a little too early, and then Nick Lowles off the stun of the gravity field can turn that around. But they made it close, and he's really been hunting Kill Switch consistently throughout this game. He's going after this Victor. I guess Vikings never liked mages.
Hey, you know what? I called it before the game started. That's what I was saying. I really think that in terms of where Battle Gnome is going to focus, it's got to be on Kill Switch because that's their biggest opportunity to find some counter. But unfortunately, it hasn't led to Knack being fed kills, right? We're still looking at 4-4-1. So yes, OP Kill Switch, out of the 7 kills that BDE has, 4 of those kills are onto that mid laner. But it really doesn't matter because he's been able to secure a lot for himself. Now let's see if this will be enough as he uses the flash to get back over the wall after Control Elite blast cones over. Elysium Blaze just being rude.
He was just trying to survive. He's just trying to survive out here. He's got 2 trying to cut him off, hunt him around any corner. Everyone's just headhunting for Kill Switch. My man needs a break here as finally gets to join up with his team. That's where he's going to find his protection, and they decide to pull the trigger
There it is. They're going in. Hextech Ultimatum, but it's on to the Ragnarok to Olaf, who will get taken down. Out comes the headshot. It goes on to Bean Chillin. The ultimate from Chihuahua on the backside. Knack throwing out his own, but he's taking too much. Chihuahua with the re-engage and the elastic slingshot. Smacking JL and Knack together, trying to allow the rest of Elysium Blaze to get in on this fight. JL might go down here. There it is. The elastic slingshot will be one, and yet another to fall as Nick Lowles continues the fight, and now BDE just has to run away. Elysium Blaze has the opportunity for a 20-minute, 30-second Baron.
Yeah, they completely wiping that team fight. Hard engage onto Olaf, and despite the Ragnarok, couldn't find an angle out of there. Now the question is, do they pick up the Dragon as well as the Baron? I don't think they have enough time, so they're going to trade this one. It's a good trade. It's a good trade because it's not third Dragon, and you can start countering the stacks when you kill all these turrets. This Baron should be worth a lot of gold in their pocket, so it should be a worthwhile trade at the end of the day. But look at this. Idris 4-1 with 5 assists.
I think that they actually already thought BDE was on the Dragon, because otherwise there should have been no reason that they didn't move. It was still like 7 seconds before Dr. Mundo even came up. And they still had some damage on a Mandolin, so I think that's why when we saw that barrage come through, it was trying to pick up the last hit. So maybe Elysium Blaze not realizing just how much pressure they had, how quickly they were able to take down that Baron. Either way, though, they have evened things out in terms of these towers, and now they are focusing on breaking into the base via this mid lane.
Ezreal does have increased turret taking capabilities now, so that's going to be a very easy turret take. Bot side, though, they're setting up a gank.
There it is. Nick Lowles gets the re-engage onto Knack. Has to use the ultimate. Hextech Ultimatum. Look at this damage. Divine Sunder is just too dang much. Battle Gnome hasn't even been able to get a hit. There it is. The axe finally locks down, but that's the mobile Camille that we're talking about. Nick Lowles gets out again.
Yeah, kiting out the Ragnarok.
Oh no, Chihuahua's here now. Nick Lowles goes back in. The channel's gonna be canceled. Poor Knack was like, I'm gonna take this risk. I'm gonna try to stay alive. Gets pulled back in. The elastic slingshot comes through, but it's not necessary because Idris is going to be able to catch one with the ultimate. It's 5 members down. Battle Gnome trying to get a recall onto this, realizes he won't be able to. Maybe we'll try to take down one with him. That's the passive though being popped here, and that means that Chihuahua will stay alive, and another kill goes to Idris.
All right, they dive the Olaf despite the Ragnarok. Now, is it BM to hook past your opponent with hookshot and then come back and kill them, or is that just an accident?
Nah, that's not B. That's Camille. That's just how she works, you know?
Oh, she's just does. BM. It's in her lore that she likes to disrespect
swords for
people.
legs, all right? You know, like, I would take advantage of it if I could.
Does she have swords for legs or swords on her legs?
No, they're like, her legs are swords.
Okay, all right. Sword legs.
Like straight, so when she kicks,
must be hard to balance.
Yep. So you see when she flips, you can see it pretty well. But she literally has swords for legs, man. That is Riot being real clever. I like it. I really like Camille as a champion. I think she is pretty busted right now, though, and unfortunately, it seems like BDE just hasn't been able to counter it. They haven't figured out what to do about it.
I mean, yeah, they don't have many options. Because Ragnarok for Olaf, that is an option. They do have that, but everyone else. Once you're exhausted here, the Mundo passive does fall off. There's no way. You just can't do anything about this Hextech Ultimatum.
Yep.
And I think the bigger issue is Chihuahua and Idris. Let's be honest. They've been having a swell 2 games here. Chihuahua has so far gone deathless on an engaged champion, mind you. So most supposed to be taking the front of the damage. And Idris, again, just set up in such a good spot on this AD carry twice in a row.
OP Killswitch, very confident in this one. Chihuahua is in the wings. Ragnarok coming out, but the rest of BDE too far behind. That means Victor is going to be able to use his ultimate, get a lot of damage off there. A little bit of a readjustment as Elysium Blaze come down and around the Raptor Pit and re-engage here. Idris on the backside, throwing out his ultimate. And at 24.5 minutes in, we're looking at like an 8K gold lead for Elysium Blaze. This is pretty insane, and by far the most oppressive game that we've seen in this series.
Yeah, they are steamrolling in this second part of this game here. 24 minutes in, it would seem like it's like 30 minutes in, but I guess we're stuck in a bit of a time acceleration here. Time does not, flow evenly in this game of League of Legends as Knack going to try to do his best to run away from a Camille, but guess what? Hextech Ultimatum says You can't. As Knack Knack, okay, good juke here. The flash and the dodge out from Nick Lowles. Wasting a lot. Knack Knack's good at this. He
prolonging
really
the
is good at
inevitable.
wasting time. Yeah,
This is
he's going to draw multiple people. This is the Knack Knack special. Don't waste time on this guy.
Oh, and then in the meantime, in the mid lane, you have the ultimate coming out of Ezreal. You don't have enough damage. You don't have enough health available, and with that, the Victor ultimate on top of it means that it's a lot too much damage coming down here onto BDE. It ends up being Bean Chillin going down, but I'll ask it again: at what cost for BDE?
They did lose Mundo, and they are getting pushed back here. The fear of this Ezreal victory being put into their souls as we're 30 seconds away from a dragon. Elysium, they will close out games, but they're not a speed closer. They take their time. They do it by the books, so to speak. And that means, they could end this game probably the next Baron, but will they? That is the question.
That is a good question. I think at this point now, hopefully they have the confidence and the understanding, especially with the side laning pressure that Nick has been able to put up, right? Before, when we were talking about towers and their ability to siege, BDE actually did a really good job of kind of equalizing the towers, but now we're looking at 2 towers that BDE picked up early on to the 5 that Elysium Blaze has been able to secure, and it feels like in a much quicker manner, Elysium Blaze has just taken real control of this. So they are going for the dragon here. Baron is going to spawn up soon, so they're going to throw some vision around that, and is BDE really even capable of countering a fight around that pit?
I don't think they could take any fight. I think they should become pacifists somehow. And I don't know. I just hope that they are shown mercy in this game here. Not much hope. Maybe they can get a cheeky steal. They got to trade Baron for something.
Oof, that's going to make it harder. Idris is
The
one of
best
those ways
CC
that they
against
can get the
Olaf.
cheeky steal. That was the flash forced out.
Okay,
Idris
there it
does
is.
stay alive, just barely. Bean Chillin, gonna try to help with this one. They've got the mantra, they've got the root onto it. Battle Gnome's gonna get jumped on here by Chihuahua. And even when things seem like they could be okay for BDE,
cancels.
Elysium Blaze turns it around. A beautiful root. Knack Knack gonna find yet another kill here and is okay with taking a few tower shots. Now Bean Chillin, though, is coming around. Knack Knack will end up falling. Bean Chillin taking that one, but still pressure being held by BDE.
The best CC against Olaf. A wall. Couldn't get over it. And the flash was utilized there. Here we have a bit of an engaged fight on 2 fronts. I think Elysium Blaze is going to win this one.
Yeah, this one is all but done for. Control Alt Elite once again in just too risky of a situation, trying to allow these 2 backliners to find their way out. They're going to re-engage a little bit, but it's too much damage from Idris. You cannot fight that one, and that means it's a double kill. That is so unfortunate because that was Control Alt Elite sacrificing himself so JL and Amandalyn could get out, and they didn't leave.
Yeah, they thought they could get the kill on Bean Chillin, but it was just bait. I mean, the ice cream was just so delicious, Jolly. What can you do? Just draws you in.
Why?
Nick Lowles.
Why? This is not a fight you want to take ever.
Yeah,
Absolutely
no.
ever. And Battle Gnome ghosted and Ragnaroked to try to chase down Nick Lowles, who is now 6-1-4. You don't take that fight. I'm sorry. That it feels
but
now
you know
like
what?
BDE is kind of given up.
You know what? The man can commit. I appreciate that. He commits. And
Yeah.
There's something to say about that. Now, did it lead to him dying? Yes, of course.
Yeah,
Did he
was it
earn
a
my
worthwhile
respect?
commitment? Absolutely not, but he did it, That can be said, that is for sure. Now it's the 7 towers to the 3 towers, though, and every minute that passes just feels like it's Elysium Blaze stacking, getting stronger and stronger, and BDE kind of getting caught in the crosswinds.
Yeah, they're atrophying right now.
Yep, absolutely.
They cannot reach the same speed of strength growth from the side of Elysium. And with this, I mean, Baron is just like hitting those anabolic steroids. It's hard to match up with someone who's not natty.
Nothing.
And that
Look at
Baron is
nothing.
juicing their gold lead right now. And they're just, okay, it looks like they're going to go for the tower clears. They're going to spread out their Baron buff. That is very wise decision making. And they have a great split pusher in that Camille, who, by the way, is 6-1 versus 0-6 Mundo. So we know who's going to win that one. And now it's just a matter of time. Now they could go for a kill in the Camille, or I guess they could try to hope the fact that Battle Gnome can get in on this Ezreal.
And go
it's
for
not
a
a good
kill
look
on
either way.
Yeah, go for a kill on Camille is risky in itself. I don't even care that it's, could potentially be 4v1 for a little while. It doesn't matter because we're talking not just split pushers. I think she is the best side laner because of her ability to go over walls, deal a lot of damage and escape when it is necessary. So definitely Elysium Blaze using their composition well, and this should be the end of the game. BDE doesn't really have a chance to do anything here.
This is like a 0.001% chance to win for BDE here.
Yeah.
They're all but cleared out of every structure they have. Idris, 8-1 and 7, completely monster. And now this is their last hope. It's not much, but maybe a ray of light.
Oh, Ray of Light, but look at the damage that Nak is taking right there. He uses the ultimate. Idris is the one doing all this damage. They actually get the jump on Idris, and finally they're able to get the shutdown onto him. That was only the second death, but what are they going to lose for it? A lot. Look at Chihuahua, able to get onto the backside, focusing on 4 members. Is going to be able to take down 2. His passive is still up. This allows all of Elysium Blaze to pick and choose who they want to fight. They weren't even able to get the passive off of Chihuahua, and now it is just the end as Nak has to run away from his exploding Nexus. What a huge turnaround from Elysium Blaze, and just as you called, Crims, the reverse sweep in their hands.
Yeah, they go ahead, and it's a clean reverse sweep, if you could call it that.
Yes, it was.
It was a clap in the second half there, and BDE, I mean, I'm not going to say I told you so, but that Caitlyn Lulu lane, it just doesn't make sense here.
Yeah.
Both teams, they make a lane that doesn't make sense, and they pair it with Caitlyn, and both of them got burned by it. But unfortunately for BDE, they pulled it out at the worst time possible. They needed to cinch the victory, and that Caitlyn lane didn't work out for them.
It really didn't. And I agree with you on the front that Lulu was a pretty detrimental pick. The Caitlyn is all right. Probably not, given what was available. Something I would have gone with. We even talked about how BDE in the past has run the Xayah Lulu to much greater effect. So they doubled down on it, and you're absolutely right. It didn't work out for them. Hopefully it was a learning experience, but that means that second place has been officially locked in here for Elysium Blaze.
Elysium Blaze, yeah, they're going to go ahead and rise above this pack here. Interested to see what the rest of the standings are going to be. We're going to have to, time will tell for that part. And now BDE, they find themselves in a 2-2 situation. They're going to have to make sure they are going to clutch out the wins from here on out. I just want to point this out again. I'm just going to say it, Jolly. Dorado Gaming Epsilon are a scary team. You do not want to be seeded into them. So making sure you secure yourself a good standing position where you don't have to fight them is probably going to be the play. Now, I don't think any of these teams are strong enough yet to take out emotional damage. I think emotional damage is by far the best. Atop of the pack here, they're scaling comps too good. But don't let yourself get paired into Dorado Gaming. You're good enough to make it on that top of the pack and avoid Dorado, who's the real big one from Group A you don't want to fight.
Yeah, I was going to say, EDE, Emotional Damage Energy, they've got that 3-0 record, but they have still lost 3 games. Dorado Gaming Epsilon, they won 3-0. They are 6-0 in terms of the games themselves. They haven't lost a single game. So not only is it scary to look across and see, hey, you've got 2 teams in a 3-0 position, but in terms of that Group A, you have a completely undefeated team that hasn't even experienced a single game loss. So hopefully that's a good drive, right, for Elysium Blaze to continue to improve. And again, I want to touch on the fact that between every single game, I saw a very visceral improvement in Elysium Blaze. That is really exciting to see as somebody who's done, who's done professional, who's done collegiate, who's done amateur, all aspects of League of Legends and casting. This is something that is one of the big things that you look out for, especially in terms of like younger teams. That improvement was massive, and I would say unprecedented. I was not expecting them to improve as much as they did in between each game. So I just have to applaud them and commend them for really showing us that all it takes is, buckling down and talking about what can be improved upon to find that success.
Or maybe just pick a better draft. And don't mess. And don't pick Caitlyn Zillion. How about not picking Caitlyn Zillion? How about that?
Yeah, they learned.
I think so. EDE does take out Orbit Gaming Moon, so this is new information here. So that means that Elysium Blaze is securing that second place slot. So they did it. They got the win. Orbit Gaming Moon weren't able to pick it up against EDE. They are monsters in this group here. So with that being said, congratulations, Elysium Blaze. You're in the second place. You're in a good spot. You fought for this victory. Maybe don't pick Caitlyn Zillion, and you would have won both of these games instead. But for the side of BDE here, again, I have the same advice for both teams. Don't do this weird Caitlyn lane. Both of these teams, don't do the weird Caitlyn lane.
Yep. I completely agree with you there. And I think it goes hand in hand with what you were saying earlier on about picking your full bottom lane pretty early. That's what BDE did the last two games. They picked their full bottom lane really early on, and then Elysium Blaze was just able to kind of figure out a composition around that. So BDE still performed really well. That game number one was slay, right? Like they did such a good job. It's just the adaptability that I guess is lacking there, and adjusting to Elysium Blaze being able to kind of recover from that game one loss. So still really good signs from this team. They did push this out to a full series. They were able to take that game one relatively decisively. It was the longest game.
Yeah.
But I still feel good about, where BDE can move on to, can grow, and, where we can see improvement and hopefully a lot more from this team.
I think the Vi ban also hurt them quite a bit.
Yes.
They were really using that Vi to set up nice plays in the mid game, and without it, they seemed kind of lost. Now, there's other champions that could take their place, but they didn't draft them after the ban, so they're going to need to find something that's going to slot in better. I think Elise is okay, but I think maybe something like I said, Juani is going to do a lot better at taking Vi's place if you want to play that style. And it seems like they were really good at that style. As everyone stop.
Sorry, I'm trying to. My darn camera can't focus on my face.
No. Don't talk back to us. Talk to the hand. You get the hand, okay? You're not allowed. No, stop talking. No responses here. We're gonna shut you down. But yeah, I think that I think finding some replacement picks for the Vi is gonna do really good for you, BDE.
Yep, I agree. Get a little more aggro in there, because that first comp was really solid. Also, Elysium Blaze, they learned from the Talia in the mid lane as well. That was another one that we're like, probably not that great. And then what did they do? They turned it around. They took the Zac, which was completely unorthodox, and then they ran the Victor, which was something that we had suggested even in the past. So again, that adaptability, that growth, it's huge from Elysium Blaze. It's a potential for BDE. We just didn't see it here in this series. And unfortunately, that means they're not able to lock in that second place. But again, I hope to see still more things coming from this team, and hopefully Elysium Blaze is really proud of themselves for the series that they put on today.
Yeah, I think they showed a lot of good angles from their play, and Idress just looked like a monster. This guy looks solid on AD carries, and for a league like this, I think AD carry position is stacked. We have so many. Dorado has Drunk, of course, and then there's Taylor Swift 1, 2, 3. Yep. So there are some really good AD carries, and now we're gonna start seeing these guys play up against each other against the field. Who's gonna show the best AD carry performance, the best carrier of all these players?
We'll have to see. Also, you know what? If we're calling out people that just perform so well, Chihuahua picked up. Oh, guys, I'm whacking. I'm so excited. That was honestly the Zac flex pick being locked into the jungle is amazing. I love that because again, that just shows that they are actually flexible with the picks. We see the first pick Zac. He was Sumaret. We just saw it in the mid lane. So these jungles are going to have a really big impact and obviously either help out or deter that bottom lane from moving forward. I think Chihuahua is a really good addition to this team to really aid in Idris and Bean Chillin to continue to excel. Keep picking the good lanes as well. The Karma Ezreal, the Karma in general. Bean Chillin really popped off, kept that ADC alive so many times and was also doing a really good job pressuring. So honestly, everything around, like I said, every time we saw Elysium Blaze return to the Rift, they looked better. And that's a great sign for that team.
Yeah, they have a lot of forward momentum here. And talking about other good plays, Jolly, thank you for joining us on the desk here.
Thanks for having me.
It's hard. It's a hard thing to follow up Lamb, the Scottish supreme play-by-play caster. But who else could do it better than you here, Jolly? I like casting beside you. We appreciate you being here. So everyone on the chat, a round of applause for Jolly. And you're probably going to be seeing her around a lot more in the future. So think about that.
Yep. Now, it was a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. This was an absolute blast. And you know what? Of all the series for me to hop on with, I am very grateful that we got a banger like this one.
Yeah, that's what Titan does. Provides bangers.
I love it. Well, I think that is going to do it for us then. We have talked about these teams and these players as much as you guys will be willing to hear us out for. Congratulations again to Elysium Blaze for locking in that second place position and being able to go up against some of the other top teams here. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. And of course, keep an eye here on the Titan broadcast so you can see what else is coming up in the future as we are getting spicy the closer we get to the top of that bracket. Thank you so much for being here with us, and we will see you next time.